And good evening. Today is Sunday, the 15th of September. Welcome, alienated parents, alienated children, alienated grandparents worldwide. Thank you for tuning in to Let's Talk, Real Talk on Parental Alienation and Intimate Partner Violence tonight with Andy Martens and myself, Mary Auld-Kovacs, and we have Molly here, of course. Tonight's special guest, we have Jules, a repeat back from about a year ago, I guess, the last time you were on, Jules. And welcome from Denver, Colorado. Jules had just previously lost a child during her time of alienation. So we send her our deepest condolences from Canada. Heartbreaking to go through alienation, let alone losing the child. And we're going to let Jules tell a little bit about her background because it's been a year at least that, we got to see what was going on with her. But she is an alienated mom of 3 children for the last 6 years. So Andy is going to ask a few questions while I share this program live to multiple platforms. And I ask everybody out there to give us a like and a share. You can find us on YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook Live. So welcome to you both, Andy and Jules. We are so grateful to have you. So, Andy.
Yeah, well, welcome back, Jules. It's been a long time, but I remember you well. I think it was closer to 2 years, Mary, 2022. If you give me a second, I have that posted here on my Facebook page on the thing. Give me
I
just
believe
one.
Jules was on Let's Talk as well, though. She's been on a few of our programs.
Yeah.
So
I thought I had it. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, she might have been on your show after that. But
yeah.
it's great to see you again, Jules. So, can you give us an update of what's happened with your situation since you're on the show?
Um, well, my divorce got final. But in 22,
Congratulations.
thank you. In 22, March of 22, I had given my ex-husband custody of our youngest. And then that summer, he was able to take her to Florida in June of 22. I started the process of getting my life together to move to Florida. And December of 22, I moved to Florida. The whole 2023, I was in Florida trying to get some sort of visitation of my youngest. When that failed, I pretty much had a real bad PTSD moment. Um,
Right.
uh, After being there for over a year and trying to see her, and just mentally being exhausted from everything that had happened in my life that year, it was just so traumatic that I had to leave. And I came back to Denver. I had some really good friends that I consider my family. And with their guidance, I came back, and I did exactly, what I thought was best, which I got mental health. I started seeing a therapist, psychiatrist. I
Right.
got on medication. I had to. I was beyond in a bad state.
Right.
I mean, it was so devastating not being able to see her. And this is now going on. Oh, I don't even know when now. But make a long story short, I came back to Colorado. I got my stuff together. I got with some advocates, a really good advocate, and I got into housing.
Good for you.
Great. Great. Yeah, that rings a bell, Jules. March to December of 2022. What I remember, you were headed to Florida and you were going to reunite with this guy, and it didn't work out.
No, no.
And Mary and I are still here.
So am I. I'm still here
You're
too.
still here. So, Jules, I have another show that we've done. Why are relationships so difficult?
I think it just it breaks down. Whether, uh, you know, just communication, I think, is mainly what breaks down. One person does more than the other, maybe. Um, or, they weren't in love with you in the first place. That's kind of the way I feel like.
Well, you said it. It's a choice, quite frankly. It really is. It's simple. It's like you wake up in the morning and you turn on a light switch and it's either there or not. But unfortunately,
Absolutely.
a lot of the people, it's not there. Like, with Mary and I, mutual respect, communication, the straightforwardness, all of that. And it's really simple when you think about it. And a lot of people,
Yeah.
including Mary's ex, can't grasp onto that. You have to treat a person with respect.
Hmm.
A lot of
I
people
wouldn't say
get
that
married
again.
to have a title, to get prestige. They marry just, because someone's got money. They marry for a lot of reasons other than love. And if you really find true love, you know when it's true love. And
Right.
a lot of times we walk down the aisle and we just want to run. But, the embarrassment and all that comes with it too. You don't want to embarrass your family. You don't want to hear, oh, I
Right.
spent $50,000 on your wedding. You better get married, stuff like that. It's intimidating to get married these days because you don't know who to trust anymore. And even back then when we got married, we were young. I mean, you don't see 22-year-olds getting married anymore. That's a
No.
rarity, right? So kids
Right.
today are like in their, I can't hear you, Andy, but kids today are like in their 30s before they even think about having a partner.
Oh,
I was
wow.
So,
29. I was 29, Mary. I just felt I wasn't ready to get married at 22.
well, that was good for you. That was a sign, right?
That's right. Exactly. I was
So, and
just
here you are still married. I was
after
22 going on
40
20.
years.
Yeah, I was 23, but I was forced to get married in order to
Yeah.
silence me. So there was a difference. It was never love. I was never in love. It was my first love ended up getting murdered 3 months before I was forced to get married. And
Right.
I didn't even have the grieving process set yet. I mean, Jules knows what it's like to grieve someone you do love. It's heartbreaking. So,
Yeah.
Jules, in between being alienated from your oldest daughter to the time of you losing her, did you get contact with her?
Okay, so she was 17 when she flew to Kentucky to go stay with her biological father and her stepmother. And at the time, I had agreed because, she wanted to get to know them and she wanted to, change of environment. And me and Rodney, we were living in a small apartment and we had two other kids. So, and a dog. And so I agreed to let her go. And, of course, I said, listen, if things don't work out, you got to come back. And she gets there and all communication stops immediately. And 2 weeks after she gets there, Amy, the stepmother, goes and files a restraining order against me. And then she went and turned me into Child Protective Services. And so that right there, and I didn't, of course, show up for court for that. I was in Colorado. There's no reason I was going to entertain JC and her drama. But at the time, that's what I thought. But it actually was Amy trying to keep me away from Brian, my ex-husband, and my child. It's at the end of the day, it's really sad, but my grandmother used to always say it comes clean wash day. And it did. JC passed away, and now I know exactly what truly has happened. I was very grateful to pick up the pieces that I have gotten from her passing. But at the end of the day, Amy, I never got to talk to JC until like I think 2019. I finally was able to get in touch with her through my son Darian, and I think she was just very disrespectful, cussing me, pretty bad. And I really couldn't entertain it at that time either. And I was trying to work and trying to, support my family here. And I never heard from her again. And then in March, I went to Social Security because I'm trying to, handle some business there. And I found out then that she had changed her name from JC to Matt. So she went trans, and, that's fine, whatever. But at the end of the day, it's very difficult to deal with after you've passed away. And I can only imagine how she was discriminated against. And my heart just breaks for her, because I recently was discriminated against just showing her ID, trying to get her car worked on. And I was just like, my goodness, it's terrible. But I never talked to her again after that.
How sad. How old was she?
23. My mother has my mother sent me a couple of emails, and we've gotten some words from the police, different agencies, different stories. My lawyer, of course, he's on top of it. We've got a private investigator. Of course, with me having a head of the estate, I get to get all the paperwork that I need. And with the wrongful death claim, we have to get everything. And so it's just going to be very interesting. But my mother said she was diagnosed schizophrenic.
Oh, wow.
And she quit taking her medication. So,
Wow.
but she was arrested at 5:30 in the morning the day she passed away, and she was released at 7:30, so 2 hours later, for public intoxication. And then there was another call supposedly around 9:30 that came in that she was asleep in someone's yard. And then she passed away. And this, I believe it was at night, 9:30 at night. And then the call came in at 10:36 that she was struck by a car and instantly killed.
Wow.
So sorry.
And that
So
was
sorry.
July 8th of this year, 2023. And my ex-husband did not tell me that she had passed away. He didn't tell me that her body was at the coroner's office. The coroner didn't contact me. The state patrol didn't contact me. Barstown Police Department didn't contact me. Nelson County Sheriff's Office didn't contact me. All of these people were at the scene of my child's accident or murder. I feel like she was murdered. By who was driving, and that driver has not been arrested.
Unbelievable. And have the police said why they have not contacted you? What's their excuse on not contacting a child's mother? Because I know I went through it too. My daughter was rushed into emergency, and I found out 3 weeks after. She was 15 years old, 3 weeks after that she had gone under emergency surgery. And by the time I found out, she was already home recuperating. Now that's devastating to a child, knowing that a mother is not there. So when a police holds back all the information from you, that not only devastates the child before they die and all that, but also you. I mean, you have to live with this, knowing that no one called you.
Also, too, the police, their excuse was that information wasn't disclosed to them. They had no contact information. Even Magnolia Cremation out of Indiana, they said they had no contact information. However, it was documented on all documentation, the police report, the state police report, Kentucky State Police report, and the coroner's report, that the family would get in touch with me. But nobody ever did. Nobody ever told me until July 31st. My mother sent me an email and said, somebody close to you has passed away. You must contact me or your father. Well, I contacted her. And she told me, of course, I immediately got sick and threw up, and I couldn't comprehend it. And she, of course, said I was being psychotic, by the way I was acting. And I was calm with her. I just wanted to know I just wanted to know who I needed to talk to. And she acted like it had just happened. And I was like, you're messing with me. I'm good. And of course, she wanted to be in control over everything. And, after finding out that 10 people got to view my child and I was not one of them, it really hurts. My ex-husband also claimed her ashes and dumped them in the Gulf.
Oh, wow.
Without my knowledge.
What a selfish thing to do. I mean, knowing that he was just a stepfather, right?
He was the adopted father, but...
Or the adopted father, okay. basically the
still though,
stepfather.
but
He
still
should not have.
though,
No, he shouldn't have done that. He should have contacted you. He knew.
so I
Oh, now,
found out.
where does this leave your other two children now that all this has gone on?
I have no idea. I haven't talked to them. But so the very next day, I hired an attorney. We filed probate for JC, or as her trans name is Matt. I'm recognizing both for whatever that, that's that's what she did, and I'm gonna, respect that. But after her death, when I found out, I immediately hired an attorney, and we filed the probate. My ex-husband had emailed him and said that he had contacted the insurance company, and that he was entitled to half of her estate, or whatever, her check from the insurance company. And I told the lawyer, I said, where's the probate paperwork? And we already had it filed. We already had a court date, and it just, had crossed in the mail with Mr. Ward. And Mr. Ward showed up, which is her adopted father. Her biological father, Brian Fowler, showed up, which he gave up his rights in 2012. The stepmother, who is no longer any relation, Amy Fowler, that's Brian's wife. JC had lived with them for a little while, and then my ex-best friend Kelly, which is Amy's sister, who JC was living with, and then about 3 other people, whether they were relatives or friends of JC. So about 7 people showed up, and all I had was my attorney and God, of course. So they went in and they pled their case of why I shouldn't, be the administrator of my child's estate. Kelly said that basically I was abusive, extremely abusive to JC, and physically and mentally. Judge said that didn't matter. Amy said that I was estranged from her. That didn't matter. Rodney said I had ran off with money before, which I didn't know where it came from. But anyway, judge said that didn't matter. Kelly said, which is, Amy's sister, said that they weren't looking to make any money off of JC's death. And the judge says, well, it is the mother's right to sue for wrongful death. I'm the biological mother. And basically that's the way it ended. The judge said, she's a biological mother. She's the administrator of the estate. And we walked out of there at, I want to say maybe not even 45 minutes later. They were all sitting in the parking lot. Of course, I got pictures of that because my lawyer was like, this isn't good. And then the security guy was like, you can't go out there by yourself. And I was like, okay, well, there's a friend of mine sitting out in the car. And then they left, I think, when they saw my friend get out of the car.
Karma, right?
I got my order, and I kept asking them where JC's car was, because I was there to collect her estate, everything I need. I've got to gather information. I've got to take care of everything for her, and because that's what the judge ordered, and I'm just following judge's order. I'm doing what I've been appointed to do. I feel like in the best interest of her heirs, which is, that's part of the legal paperwork there. But it's really hard. I stood next to all of these people who didn't let me see my child pass away. I didn't get that last goodbye. And I'm very proud of myself. It didn't bother me. It didn't bother me because I know God's gonna handle it,
That's tough. It is tough not to say goodbye to your child. I mean, it's siblings, parents,
or any family member.
yeah, any family member. But to lose a child is probably one of the hardest. I've had a child pass away as well, and I have 3 alienated children. And it's death. at least you have some kind of closure with them. But when they're alienated, you don't know where they are or who's harming them. Who's, there's so many predators out there today that you don't know whose hands these children are going to be placed into. And when they were taken away from a protective parent like yourself, a mom especially, it's just heart-wrenching that this happens. And it doesn't happen because you were a bad mom. Maybe you had suffered a lot of health issues after, but what mother wouldn't? I mean, I did too. It put me off the deep end as well. I am no different than anybody else out there. Any other mom that had their children ripped right out of their arms for no reason by these courts. And it's the lawyers and the judges that are enabling the abusers, because had your ex-husband, at least given you access to your kids and 50-50, your kids probably would have turned out a lot better. They would be able to run to you and say, mom, this is happening, or, I need your advice. But you don't get to have that. So it's terrifying. And we need to educate these judges on what happens to our children. Unfortunately, your child died. So now can you go back on to these judges that took your children? So, that's what we have to do. We need to stand up for our kids now. Once they're damaged, they're gone. If we didn't, it's just going to continue. And I got to ask you, do you had cameras in the court? Would that have helped you in situations so that you can go back on and say, no, this, you said this. Why are you saying this now? So would it made a difference for you?
Mary, I'm very grateful. The lawyer, as soon as we walked out of there, he said, I'm already ordering the video from this court hearing, because we're going to, that's evidence. I was very grateful. I contacted every agency about her car. Nobody would communicate with me. Rodney, I tried to get Brian to talk to the police, Kelly to talk to the police, Amy to talk to me, and Amy even said she would after I got the administrative paperwork. But at the end of the day, nobody would communicate. So my last resort was call back the state police, showed them my paperwork. I was administrator of the estate. They did their investigation and they put her car in stolen. And then it was found that night. And
Wow.
my lawyer says, I wonder why it was sitting there for so long, because it was in a spot that, would have been towed, because it was very noticeable. And it was an inconvenient spot. It was taking up room somewhere, And make a long story short, I contacted this facility, and my ex-husband asked them to hold the car, not to tow it. And he knew that I was the administrator of the estate. He knew I was the owner of the car. And so, that's still under investigation. I have to, comply with the state police.
Right.
Now they're going to, we're going to start investigating her death a little bit more serious. Everything's just not adding up. And I feel like that after this goes through, I'll have a lot more. I mean, as soon as I had the administrative paperwork, they were very, very compliant with me. Beforehand, I had a little bit of issues, but I believe that we've got that wrapped up now. And I'm just so grateful for the people that are finally understanding that I am first kin, not next kin. I'm the biological mother.
Good for you. I mean, it needs to end somewhere, and
Amen.
It's got to stop here.
And it did. And it did.
And we are grateful that you're here to let people know this, because there's a lot of people out there that think that Parental Alienation is a bogus thing. It's pseudoscience. And, it's all these people that say this are the ones that are damaging our kids and allowing the court system to do what they're doing to these kids. Not that, you got little 2, 3, 4-year-olds getting molested, sexually abused by lawyers and judges and all these monsters out there, businessmen, big tycoons who can't, their money won't buy them what they need. So they use a child for that. And it's been going on for decades. This is a serious issue. These children are dying at a very young age. So the courts are
Uh,
making, they've got a price tag on these children, $350,000 a year, dead or alive, through the family court system. And now the family courts are doing Zoom. The whole building's standing there empty. What, they got secret tunnels in there doing whatever they're doing with our children? We
yeah.
need to go in there and investigate what's going on in these courthouses, because there's no court going on, but the cars are parked in the parking lot. So full. But yet you can't get in there to get your records or anything like that. So this is why I highly recommend cameras in the courtrooms, because they can't hide.
Well, I
Well,
also had a dash cam in my car, so it recorded my ex-husband's reaction when I couldn't report my probably should be saying this, but it's evidence. There's cameras everywhere. You have to understand that we have to be held accountable. And if we have to have cameras as, our witnesses, it's the eye in the sky,
yeah,
like some Toy Stories.
transparency.
It's
Transparency, yeah. Because
no
a lot of
different.
times, sorry, Andy, but a
Yeah,
lot of
go
times
ahead.
the judges will go off record. And who goes off record? It's
Nobody needs
someone that has
to.
something to hide, right? And if you
Yeah,
got something to hide, you shouldn't be sitting there in those black clothes,
that's right.
judging a parent that did everything right for those children. And then all of a
Yeah.
sudden, this no-brainer comes along with, all this false allegations to keep you away from your children. And then these judges are listening to these deadbeat parents, like moms
Yeah.
and dads that are doing it. Well, when it comes
Yeah.
to that point in the courts, these judges need to realize they're the ones that are slandering a parent. Why? To make them look bad, because they were outed.
Well, they also, I feel like the higher that they get the child support, the more the judge's salary is. I've heard that before.
Yes, that too. That's why I'm saying the children are worth $350,000, dead or alive, because all these incentives are passed on to CAS, the Office of the Children, the judges, the lawyers, legal aid. It's going crazy. I mean,
Oh yeah.
money is being laundered through the courts in Ontario so quick that judges are being promoted to supernumerary judges, which means that they come in when they want to.
Oh wow.
Pocket money, a lawyer will say, "Hey, judge, I need you, and here's another $200,000 or whatever. Fix this
Oh,
case." And that's what happened to me. My judge in my custody hearing was a good friend with the ex's lawyer. They had dinner the night before. The lawyers bellowed it out saying, "Oh, this is going to be a fast, easy case because the judge had a family dinner with us last night and we talked about it, and the father's going to win." Throws his he had sprained his ankle because it was 2 days before Christmas. I guess he slipped and he was in a sling, throws his leg up on the desk as the judge walks in, and it was so casual. Like there was nothing that seemed like a court in there. It was like
right.
a sideshow, really. I mean, everybody was in disarray, and my ex-husband, as I'm walking out the door, throws himself up against the wall, like, those, what do you call those Velcro people, where they throw themselves against the wall and they stick to it? Well, that was him. And the judge yelled at me saying to not harass my ex-husband. And I'm going, whoa, I didn't even do anything, like this is the kind of show that these alienators put on so that people can watch them play the field, right? Like, hey, look at me. She's going to attack me. Like,
Oh
come on.
yeah.
So that's why cameras are very important at all times. And even the police, when you're coming in, they should all have body cams on and turned on, never turned off. Because if they're turning it off, they're obviously hiding something too.
Yeah, I when I was there in Bardstown, I actually met with one of the Bardstown's it was Nelson County Sheriff's officer, and he was the one that was on the scene with my child. And he became very emotional with me, and he told me I was talking to him like he was an idiot, and I was just like, or a moron, excuse me. And I was just like, huh? What is wrong with you? You know, my child, yeah, you can't get rid of my child's face, you know. She looked just like me, no matter how short her hair was, whatever. Anyways, and I think that bothered him. Anyways, I asked him, I was like, have you gotten therapy? You need therapy if you saw a dead 23-year-old on the road, you know, getting killed by a car. I believe she got ran over. From what the police report said, you know, it's just very emotional. I can't, it's so hard to process, you
So
know.
sorry, Jules. I just want to reach out and give you a big hug here, all the way from Canada, because
Thank you.
you've been dealing with so much in the last 6 years. This is not
Yeah.
you know, um, it's they're putting parents on the deep end, and it doesn't matter. I mean, they're going out shooting judges and lawyers now, and I mean, we're live. I can't say anything bad, but sometimes you wonder about what was going through your head. Do you really feel safe walking out on the street knowing what you just did to a dad or a mom, right? We all
Yeah.
have a breaking point. What do
Yeah,
you
I
think, Andy?
totally.
Yeah, definitely. That's terrible. So cruel.
So they're like enabling us to get to that violent position. They want us to fall apart.
Correct.
They want us to become shooters and murderers. And I mean, it is a lot of times I hear, "Oh, you could have been out of prison by now had you shot him." And I'm going, "Whoa." You know, like, do I want that on my record? I don't want to get my hands dirty. You know, let him suffer. Let him do whatever he has to do. He's going to pay the consequences because he's damaged our children,
Oh,
not me.
absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
yeah.
I was very grateful. Yeah, the police or the security at the courthouse after court, after I got my order, they made sure that I was safe out in the car, to get to my car. They didn't want any problems, and because there were seven against me, and I was totally cool, going in. I had no problem standing, next to him in court, with my lawyer in between us. And my lawyer was very confident. He's like, there's nothing that, you've got this. And he said, you did the right thing and what you're entitled to do. And I felt very confident, that this was going to go through, and I felt like it was very important that I show up in person as well. I wanted that judge to see that I was, a good mother, and that I was there, and I was representing, my family, and I really I don't want to fight, but at the end of the day, they gave up. They said that they weren't willing to be part of the wrongful death claim. Kelly spoke for, the whole group that came, which included Rodney, her, and Kelly, and Brian. They said that they didn't want to sue them for wrongful death, and so they
Mm.
excluded themselves, from JC's probate case, which, at the end of the day, that's probably the best thing. And the judge, he was like, okay, well, then you're the last person here. You're the one that did the petition. You get it,
Good for you. Good. It takes an alienated parent to do all the hard work. It's easy
Amen.
for an alienator to throw in false allegations because they're using the children, but we have to um, find the truth so that the judges believe us. But by the time they
Right.
believe us, it's like in your case, too late.
Too late.
But it's not too late for your other two. So let's pray that this will be an indication for your two children, to the youngest ones. How old are they now, the younger ones?
The baby, she's 15. And then my son, he's 21. Darian, he's 21. And then Danielle, she's 15. And, that's another thing I'm so grateful for. JC, she had some life insurance. She never changed it. I'm the beneficiary of it. That was able to start her estate, case. It was able to get me to Kentucky and get me a hotel. And, I'm so grateful that I was able to comfortably be able to make this. And I drove. It was that important to me.
Yeah.
I drove straight there, but next time I think I'm going to have to fly because it is so hard on your body driving straight, like,
Yeah.
20 hours.
I
And,
thought about you the whole road trip. I mean, I'm
yeah,
glad we kept in touch, so
yes,
I knew where
ma'am.
you were. It is a long drive. I mean, it's
Oh,
exhausting what an alienated parent is going through.
oh, absolutely. I
Mentally,
love,
emotionally, psychologically, we're drained. We're
yeah,
also drained of our accounts because that's what the alienators want us to be broke, poor, on the street, homeless. And that's
absolutely.
why there's so many homeless out there right now. And that's the young, the children are running away from the alienating
Yeah,
parent,
yes. And I
running to the street. They're looking for some place to feel home because they've lost a loving parent, and they're going out to the streets to do drugs, alcohol. They become addicted sexually. They get raped, molested. I mean, wow, it's endless out there. And it's all because of the family court system ruining the entire family unit. The divorce
oh,
is
absolutely.
dividing. Yeah, the divorce court is dividing. They don't keep families together. This is not family court.
No.
This is divorce court we're talking, right? So get the family out of the divorce courts. The children shouldn't be there. Office of the Children's Lawyers should not put them through and invent fabricated stories about the other
Oh,
parent
yes,
because it's
most
the lawyers
definitely.
making the money.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
we have good lawyers that can, that fight for the children to stay united with both parents, but they're minute. There's only a handful of them because they're all scared, and they got all these judge and lawyer secret clubs and all that, and they get shunned if they protect the other parent, these lawyers, so they can't go into these clubs. And if they do, well, they're smeared and, ostracized. So of course, especially women, the women lawyers, they tend to take the men lawyer sides because they want to
Right,
be a part of them. But that's not a
right.
way to be. You don't enable an abusive lawyer to be an abusive lawyer. Especially women. Women should know that taking a child from a mother is probably the worst thing they could do,
Oh,
right?
yeah. Oh, yeah. They definitely enjoy it. I'm pretty sure of it.
Oh yeah, I had a woman
Um,
lawyer, and I got rid of her as fast as I could. You
I
know,
it's so traumatic, everything that I've been through. And, at the end of the day, that I'm so grateful that the Kentucky State Police took the report of stolen vehicle and they're taking it serious, and they've asked me, to participate, or to work with them. And, it's just odd what I found in my child's car, but, not to go too much into detail, what I did find, I was very alarmed, which was a needle. Um, she's 23 years old. I don't believe she was shooting up, drugs or anything. It was, I'm not for sure, maybe if it was for her hormones, for her being the trans. But, at the end of the day, it's so traumatic just to see where she was, what she was driving for the last year. And just talking with everybody, all of the county officials, it was so traumatic. And, it's just something like, it was extremely draining, that nobody wanted to hear my side until I got that paperwork. Once I got that paperwork, then they were like, okay, we'll talk to you. you
Yeah.
know. But
Yeah.
that was
And
only the state police, you know, not the local and the sheriff's office there either. I'm just so grateful that what I do have of hers. I did find her wallet in the car, which was, very nice. The little bit of details that I have of her last few years, like I've got her driver's license and, those are just little precious things that are, I'm just so grateful for. And it's just so traumatic for me when I even just went to go to her car. I couldn't get it. I didn't have a key for it. So, I had to pay for somebody to come, make a key for it. And then, I had to pay for it to get out of impound. And then I had to drive it to, this place and that place to try to get it fixed because it's destroyed. And, you feel like maybe this was done on purpose, at some point in time, especially when they're trying to hide it. Um, but
yes.
at the end of the day, I'm just so grateful that the Kentucky State Police is working with me. I'm working with them, and hopefully we can, get this case resolved, and find out more, about what happened to her. I believe that if she was intoxicated at 5:30, and was released, but she was still acting intoxicated, maybe she had some, other sort of problems going on. Um, but also too, it was reported that she had went off 2 weeks ago, and that wasn't reported as an adult, because if she was schizophrenic, she would have been an endangered adult, just a bit disabled adult. And also too, she was autistic. I had, knew that she was autistic. So, it's just her being disabled and all this happening. It's very, it's just very traumatic. And that's why, you got to go to therapy and psychiatrists. I wouldn't have been able to do it without going there and, getting medication and working on myself more.
Yes. Therapy is important. I know that myself. I didn't go for many years, and I did my own music therapy, which helped. But
For
once
sure.
once I established my music, it was too hard for me to continue to play music because I got brought back to a trial 18 years later, and my music became it wasn't doing much, so I went back to therapy, and without my therapy I would not have survived the trial. It was a
Oh, for
9-month
sure.
trial.
Oh,
Like, it was only supposed to be 5 days. It lasted 9 months. My children were now adults 18 years after. It's
my
been
goodness.
19 years now since I've last seen them, but 18 years after they became adults to testify against me, and to relive things that they had to lie about 18 years ago. They couldn't remember what they said, so they made up new stuff, and they wanted to put me in
Right.
prison for 30 years.
Oh my
30
gosh.
years. 2 charges of child abuse, and all these false, and the police couldn't find any evidence. They freed me. I got free, but it cost me thousands, tens of thousands of dollars to get out of jail. This was not like a Monopoly game. Pay $200 and get out of
Right.
jail. You know, and there was no free passes, because once you break breach, or they say you broke breach, you're back in there, and you can't fight for your kids
Right.
anymore because you fall
No.
into the status quo. So they use the silver bullet on you to punish you for either leaving them, or to say, I want a divorce. And we need to be very careful when we want to
Right.
leave our partners, and we need a good
Mhm.
plan. We need,
Amen to that.
safety, because here we are. I mean, we're women, and we got the bum end of it all, you know, going homeless, moneyless, kidless. But we are strong. We fought our way back. Here we are. We're telling our story. Unfortunately, your child passed away, and that's got, like I said, it's so devastating that we have to deal with this. But I'm going to read a couple comments here. We have this one from Holly Gajer. And she says our kids are traumatized after seeing their parent go through the courts drags happens to many kids. The court drags happens to many kids. Well, yeah, it's millions of children worldwide going through this. It's not just an isolated area, thing, because we have decades worth of evidence. I mean, I know my ex-husband was alienated when he was 9 months old, and never saw his kids. I mean, his father in his whole entire life. So he did the same thing, alienated our kids to do what his mother did to him, and they punish us for it because we broke their security. We broke, they could go out, have affairs. They could go walk out of the house whenever they wanted to. They didn't have to take the kids with them. Or if they did, they took one.
Right.
Hit the other kids against each other. Why is, this one going with dad and I can't? Why is that one going with dad and I can't? This is what you hear when these things are happening. So people need to know that alienation doesn't just start when you are getting
No.
divorced. It starts way before that,
Oh, absolutely. Yes, it
so
definitely
you
started
saw
in my
all those,
face.
yeah, and so you saw all those patterns yourself, right?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
So what we need to do is educate people. We got Catherine says, I don't care if it is in both civil and criminal courts. Well, no, cameras should be in all courts, if that's what you're talking. And then when they bring you back to trial, like it is double jeopardy. You can't retry somebody once they've won their freedom back, right? They were proven innocent. So then you want to bring them back 18 years later and say, oh, let's try and do it again. You can't do that. You're wasting taxpayers' money, first of all. You're wasting court's precious time, and you're hurting the children by bringing them back,
Oh, yeah,
making them
for sure.
say all these horrific things, right?
For sure.
So if you want, could you read that comment there, Jules?
Yes, ma'am. I got my glasses on. It says
Okay, go ahead.
She says she's being criminally charged for deciding my suicidal child did not have a cell phone while my ex was giving temporary custody after making false allegations. Our child's help 10 years later.
Wow.
They
Uh,
when we do anything to try to help our kids, oh wow, that's amazing. She was given sole custody in Superior 6. I'm assuming that's the county or the higher court. That's amazing.
that was 10 years ago.
Oh wow.
Wow. It's just we got all these parents out there. We've got Marianne Petrie and Marianne. We all love Marianne. Hi, Marianne. Judges need psychological eval and drug testing. And you know what? You're so right, because some of these judges come into the courtrooms and they're not even all there. We get accused of not being all there, and we're sober as can be. And yet here they are
On their phone,
high as a kite.
TikToking. They're
Yeah.
on TikTok, I heard.
Yeah, like they're like Susan Bassi is an investigative journalist in California, and she goes right in there. I mean, she was an alienated mom 10 years ago. So what did she do? She became a journalist and started writing and doing all these investigations in the courtrooms and on judges and lawyers, and she's doing an incredible job, and I'm so proud of her.
Oh wow.
She inspires me. So I'm with Canada Court Watch with Vernon Beck. There's many of us. There's Wendy McDonald, and we all do what we can for parents here in Canada. We highly recommend that you don't use lawyers, because you could go pro se and no one knows the truth better than you. No one can tell your
Right.
story better than you, right?
Right. But nowadays,
So
if I didn't go in that courtroom with a lawyer for probate for my child, I wouldn't have won.
yours is different. Your daughter is,
I know, I know.
yeah,
I feel like that was the best thing I had to do,
yeah,
was handle that. But in the course of this action, on the 1st of August is when I found out she passed away, and she had actually passed away, July 8th. I was calling everybody, and it was so difficult to handle things by phone, and I ended up talking to the judge of election, who was over the coroner, and he's the one who told me what I needed to do, and he's the one who told me, you're the first Ken. He's like, you should have been contacted. I've talked to the several other people, and it's insane of how many people said you should have been contacted, you should have been contacted. So it's something that, it's me and my lawyer were pursuing. And I can't wait for, those notices to go out. Because at the end of the day, I'm not giving up,
no, never give up. I mean, you've come this far.
Mhm.
So you want to read us this one with Catherine?
Sure. Yeah, she says, claimed I was emotional damage due to my child being convicted. She was transgender by her father and step family. Absolutely. Same here.
There
Yeah.
you
But
go.
they didn't say that, in probate court, they didn't say I was that way. They said that she was emotionally damaged, and I had abused her physically and emotionally, and judge didn't care. He's like, she's the mother. She's a biological mother. There's no way. And then she says the school had their resource officer file false statements, restraining orders, interfere in custody, and the right to independently educate plans, of course, the IEPs, and as her sole legal custody. Yeah, yeah, they don't care.
They
They will
don't
do
care.
anything and everything. There was some false reports on myself there in Kentucky, as well, filed. And I know this. It sounds so funny, but they were just trying to scare me out of town. And
Yes.
my lawyer, he's like, "Don't let them." He's like, "We have got this under our belt." They completely gave up. They walked away, and at the end of the day, it was a win for JC, because all of this money that ever comes in for her estate will be, it will be delegated to where JC would have wanted it to be gone to. Um, you know, I, I truly, I'm blessed. I'm blessed that I gave birth to an angel, and I truly believe that she's with her great grandmother and her little sister Kelly, my other child who passed away. Um, I I'm so grateful that I had the opportunity to be in her life 17 years and to be called her mother. It was just, um, oh, the DOE. I don't know what the DOE is. Department of
Me
Education.
neither.
Absolutely. Yep.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, okay, there you
Department.
go. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
the
that's
kids are
another thing.
autistic.
The schools, they don't know enough to do what they're
Mm.
doing. They're stopping a parent from coming in to see their children because the other
Well, it's
parent said
funding.
so. I mean,
It's
unless there's a
funding.
court order, they can't do that.
It's funding.
They're yeah, exactly.
Well,
And
they
the
did the
people,
same thing in my court order in December. I don't mean to cut you off, because don't we have like 5 more minutes?
well, we got time. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you off. I thought we only had a few more minutes. But
No,
they did that in my case too in December of 22. No, 23, excuse me, when I was trying to get visitation to Danielle. They left it up to the Escambia County School Board to educate my child. And I really do not like that, because guess what? I fought them as well. And my child, she was one of those ones that was the very highest on there because of all of her problems. Unfortunately, her IEP was worth a lot of money, and they didn't like that so well, I believe. And I truly believe that they all ganged up against me and pushed me out of Escambia County.
of course.
I know that they are trying to get more child support out of me, and right now I collect disability. I came back to Colorado and got disability because this stuff is really hard to deal with,
It
and
is.
I can't manage working and trying to maintain my mental stability and all of the cases and all the drama that they just purposely instill in our lives. You
Right.
know,
Yeah.
it's so
Well,
traumatic. It's just traumatizing.
it's very traumatizing because in my case, the judge didn't order child support because the kids wanted to be with their father, only because he brainwashed them to convince them to say I was abusive. So the judge didn't order child support, but he did order spousal support. So that pissed off the ex even more because he thought I was going to pay him spousal support and child support. So he held the kids against me for that. He was punishing me, him and his mother doing the same thing. You
Oh
know,
yeah, for
like
sure.
this is why the judges need to get rid of the children in the family courtrooms, in the divorce courtrooms, I should say, because it's
Right.
not family courtroom. It's a
No.
it's a hellhole. It's like a three-ring circus that's you know, you're throwing them into the wild bullpen or something
Right.
and watching an alienated parent struggling to get out of it, and sometimes we can't.
If it wasn't for JC's life insurance, I wouldn't have been able to do all what I've done. I'm very grateful that, I was able to obtain that, and it's not considered income because it's death benefits. And that's something that I'm just grateful for, that it's a true blessing to be able to handle everything financially.
Yeah,
I was able to take her car, get her car out, make it into the key for her car, and I just me and JC were really close. And just having her car was just that one little bit of piece of being a little closer to her. And I'm really hoping that whatever is wrong with it, after I take it to the mechanics and stuff, that it can be fixed, or patched back together at least, so I could just drive it for a little while. Um, I I'm overwhelmed by that. My ex-husband, nobody told me where the car was, and everybody knew where the car was. And
that's so sad. I mean, right to the last second, right to the last second, they will torture you. You
yeah,
know, just be honest. Just, share the children. Let the children have a happy life. Let them be who they were before. All it is just jealousy that you did have a good relationship with the kids, and the partners are very jealous, and it's men and women, because, there are good dads out there and there are amazing moms as well, but there
right.
are ones. And if you were raised in an abusive environment and you play these games on I'll get you back, I'll pay you back, payback's a bitch, you can't enter a relationship like that. You need to set your problems aside, because you're only going to make your partner um well, make them crazy, but we are not crazy, because they do call us crazy. But there are people that literally do psych out. Like I said, they go into rampids and do school shootings and um, kill lawyers and judges. Even the step families or the in-laws or whatever. I mean, we hear all kinds of stuff, and even
Amen.
even on Netflix now, they're putting out all these horrific stories on adopted parents molesting the adopted children, killing them. And I just watched one yesterday, and it just broke my heart to hear
Mhm.
that people are adopting children to use them as sex toys. And oh my God, it's like, what's going on in this world? What are they putting in our food? Are these people, eating something that's making them demented, or is it in their gene? Or we need answers on how to solve these psychopaths out there, if there's any help for them.
Criminal charges,
Yeah, but they get out.
unfortunately.
The courts are full. you know they get out.
I
They
know.
they serve time served, or whatever you say it, like the people that killed my brother. They were supposed to serve 14 uh 14, 7, and 4 years, but they served under 5 and got
Oh
set
wow.
free because the judge made an error. The judge didn't make an error. They paid her off. Like, come
Right.
on. The judge was a judge for over 30 years, and all of a sudden she makes errors and then made another
Yeah.
one right after that one. No,
I,
these, we see it. We know what they're doing, and that's why it's important for us to put these cameras there to hold these judges and lawyers accountable, and the transparency, so that we don't be called crazy or liars and all this stuff.
I'm into that. Well,
So,
it's been a
your last
pleasure
word.
again. Hmm.
Pardon?
It's been a pleasure again hanging out with you on your show. Um I just look forward to working with you again.
You
I'm
know,
stable,
you're
you know.
you are. You have, like, you have this aura around you right now. I almost see your daughter right there, right
Mm,
behind you, guiding you now. And she's so happy that she could be beside you and feel your love. And my daughter's with me. I mean, look at my page just shines because of my daughter in heaven, and she's the one that got me through all this of 38
amen.
years of losing her to an
Mhm.
abusive father, that didn't want her. Even though I sustained injuries from the nuclear disaster, it didn't, I didn't have to go through what I had to endure when we were told that she was sick, and the father said, "If you don't kill it, I'll leave you penniless, and you'll have no support from me or the military." And
Mm.
like, what when you're only 26 years old and you got nobody, you've been taken away from all your family, because that's what alienators do. They
Oh
travel,
yes.
across the universe just to keep you away from anyone that's going to protect you. So, these words we don't forget. We will never
No.
forget them. And it's not that we brought them up during the time. We learned to keep our mouths shut. And that's why people say, "Well, why didn't you leave? Why didn't you leave?" Well, we learned to keep silent because we're protecting our other children. And if we
Yeah.
don't protect our children, this is what's going to happen. We will be alienated. We know the true fact on why we stayed, why we are putting up with abuse, because we don't want to lose our children. But the moment we let our guard down, bang, we get falsely accused of something out of the story, and no kids, and then there's no one to protect them. Like my ex used to say, "You'll never know what I do with them once I kill you." I mean, this is how I had to raise my children, knowing that he would kill me one day if I left them. So
Uh,
in order to keep my children, I put up with garbage. But when they were 16 and the
yeah.
sexual comments started falling deeper in hurting my children, I saw my girls, they were becoming bulimic, and because they saw, they were being
Right.
ostracized by the father, their weight, the way they dressed. You don't have a bit, no one should shame a child in any
No.
way, right? So when I saw that, I knew that was the same torture I went through as a young woman being married to him. He was projecting the same abuse onto my girls, and the judge allowed it to happen. Now my
Right.
girls are suffering from severe depression, anxiety. They can't sustain healthy relationships with anyone, not even themselves. My son, 6 months after, ran away to the Navy because he couldn't deal with what the father put the girls through, forcing him to look after the girls while he went to work. Why take a
Right.
mother away, leave an 18-year-old boy to watch a 17 and a 15-year-old girl? Of course, they're going to cause conflict, right? So he
That's what
pitted the
happened. Yeah.
kids. Yeah, he pitted the kids against each other. Now the kids don't, my 17-year-old daughter ran away 2 months after the judge allowed her to stay with the father. I found out 3 weeks after, just like how my daughter was in the hospital. I found out 3 weeks after. I had to put an Amber Alert on her to find her. And when I did, oh, we lost Jules. Um, but to end the story, the podcast here, when I did find my daughter, the police stated to, go get her out of that drug infested home and bring her back. But it just never happened. And the police had made a setup. Sorry about that. What happened?
I
Lost you.
connection.
But anyways, the police had set me up to go get my daughter so they could rearrest me. So, the police are involved in all these corrupt tactics as well. So be careful out there. Jules, your last words to alienated parents out there going through this today. What would you highly recommend for them to do?
Stay strong for your kids, because at the end of the day, our children are the only thing that God lets us to bring into heaven.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We will reunify with our children in heaven. I mean, we will know that for sure. I will be there for my daughter, Nevaeh. I'm sure she'll have open arms for me.
They
And
will.
your
They
daughter,
forgive us.
yes, they did. They did. They knew we loved them and we fought for them.
And
But
I
to
still
end this
will.
program, yes. So
Never give up.
to end this program, we'll have you back, Jules, anytime, to keep us updated on how, all this is going to fall into you getting back your other children. I'm praying that, you
Me
are going
too.
to be reunited and your children will see that what they've been dealing with was unconstitutional and that they should never have gone through this. So out
Alone,
there,
especially.
yeah. So alienated parents, grandparents, children, friends, family out there, never give up on your children. And if you see someone struggling, believe them, because
For
parents don't
sure.
just lose children. There's not everybody has the same story, and not everybody out there is doing, they're not doing anything for them. And we are here to help as much as
Amen.
we can. So
Amen.
again, Jules, thank you. And from Andy Martens and myself on Let's Talk Real Talk, we want to thank you all for tuning in. And if you want to be a guest on the show, please reach out to us and we will get you on. And this Tuesday, we have Johnny Zabel. He's a Hungarian like me, an alienated dad. He will be on Tuesday at 1 p.m. So please tune in and have a safe evening, everyone. Good night.
Bye.